Hello, this is a quick video showing how to install FBM version 4.0. I'm going to demonstrate here on my machine and we'll see how that goes. So the first thing to do is download it from the website. I'm going to my downloads folder. Here I have FeedBank Manager, so I'm going to right click that and say Run as Administrator. Now I'm going to step through the installation wizard. Accept terms. Next. This shows you that it installs it on the C drive. And it's installing it in a folder labeled FBM version 4.0. So when I finish it, if you can see down here, it put a new icon on my desktop from which I can start the program. Before I start the program, I'm going to change my database selection so that I have a database that is suited just specifically for my particular FBM program. So if I come to my C drive, into the database, I'm going to take the master FeedBank startup data and I'm going to copy that. Paste it here in this same folder and rename it. Coming back to the icon on my desktop, I right-click. I say Run as Administrator. That opens the program. And brings up the database maintenance dialog for the initial path establishment of where to find the database. You choose which particular type of database you're using. I'm going to use an Access database. I'm going to establish the path. It defaults to the database folder. I will choose that file that I copied and renamed MRF, and I'll make that my startup data. I select the check mark, which means I want to save those changes, and I choose Accept. That immediately brings up the AMTS FeedBank Manager initial setup that allows me to establish the ID that I want on all of my mills and all of my feed banks. I want this to match the user ID in my AMTS.cattle program. The user ID that we're asking for and that you should supply to AMTS support should match that of the FBM Users Pro program. So you can find that by going to Settings, and it's right here on that first screen. So for that particular program, my ID is MRF. But this set company ID option is not something I can do by myself. I need to contact AMTS and I need to get a code that will allow me to establish my ID as MRF. You'll notice that all of these options are grayed out. That means you can't enter anything in it. I click on the Set Company ID. I paste the code supplied by AMTS. I say OK. And it sets my company ID at MRF. Then I can set up my login credentials. Again, I accept those changes. The next dialog that comes up is the mill dialog. In order to work in FBM, you need to have a mill, and it wants you to set up your initial mill in this dialog. This icon right here means new, so you click on that and enter that first mill that you want to establish. You can have multiple mills. I'm going to make my mill named MRF and give it a name and also a plant code. They can all be the same thing. This could be the specific plant code that you have designated through your mill software program. Now, this opens up FBM to the settings and preferences. There, you can input your company information. I'm not going to do this right now. Program settings is important because that establishes where you want the default folder location for your feed bank to be. This also controls what the units will be for your feeds, whether it's metric or English or imperial if you're outside of the US, and what your currency symbol is and what your default batch weight is. Also allows you, if you are using the FBM mix optimizer, whether you're optimizing on a dry matter basis or as fed. Coming back to the feed bank folder location, typically this will be where you're storing any feed banks that you create, and that is the feed bank folder in amts.cattle.pro. So let's click on that. That action will open this dialog that will allow you to navigate to the location of your personal AMTS Cattle Pro folders. Navigate to the Feedbanks folder in Pro and click OK. And click the X to close this dialog. That's the basics for setting it up unless you're working with mill software. If you're working with mill software, you'll want to import a component map. You'll have to do some file mapping, and we can help you walk through that. Now, if I log out of FBM and I open it again, instead of the admin, which is our test program download, it now has my credentials and it's going to point to that specific feed bank. Now I'm logged in as that and I can start creating feed banks. I can do all of the work that you do in FBM, which is outlined very well in the help manual. We have Feedbank Manager overview videos by Caroline Rasmussen, our FBM champion, and they can be found by following links on the FBM page, the videos page, or heading straight to our YouTube channel. We will be adding more detailed videos in the coming months. Remember, you can reach any of us at AMTS through support@agmodelsystems.com. Thank you for your attention.